Gary Peterson here. Today we're going to show you just how to warm up a ball, and they've got a dynamic warm up, which is a warming up of your body. If you check out my videos, you'll see all that. That's all about your stepping and your moving and warming your body up. So you should have already done your body warm up, but when you get on the court, you've also got to warm up your arm. So your arm is your hitting muscles and all your strength muscles through the shot. There's two different sides. You've got your backhand, you've got your forehand. I like to go backhand first, because a backhand is an unwind swing, so you unwind to hit. Whereas a forehand, it's a push swing, so there's a lot of work through here, through this part of your body. But an unwind swing is all the big muscles in your body. So I'll start, if I was by myself and I just walked on with a dead cold ball, I would start with volleys. So rather than actually hit deep balls and hit the ball really hard, I'd start with backhand volleys, somewhere around about here, and hit. The reason is you get a lot of hits that are quite controlled and quite strong, and that's on the wall. But it's also very good for your accuracy and your control. Okay, if I was on the court by myself, once again, I would start to use another system, and that is to drive the ball down to myself and on the backhand side first. But there's an extra rule that I want you to think about. Rather than standing here and going back and then hitting the ball here and hitting the ball there, what I want to do is lift the ball up, hit it slowly, and hit this line every shot. So I want to land the ball here, although I'm going to hit it higher, so I'm not putting much stress on my arm. So I'm going to lift the ball up, and I'm going to hit that line and adjust, and just take it easy and let my body just warm up and get used to hitting target. And if you can just continually do that, you'll get good. Okay, so the reason we do that is really simple. Targets are critical. So target, if you don't know, is behind the service box generally, depending on the warmth of the court, behind the service box on the full. So if you can hit around about a racket size, one racket width from the side wall, one racket depth, that's a pretty good target. The elite guys will aim for a racket head, one racket head from the side wall, and one racket head depth, so it gets really, really good. Not so bad if you land the ball in front a little bit. Here, not so bad, but if you're anywhere half service box or forward, it's a real problem. It really opens up options. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to start lifting the ball up and hitting here, and then as my body warms up and I feel really comfortable, I'm going to start to hit the ball lower, and I'm going to start to hit the ball stronger. So I'll start up there and keep it nice and high, and I'll hit the line, and I'll hit the line, and I'll hit the line, and I've got my pretty good line and direction. The ball's hitting the line pretty well. Then I'll lower the front wall. I'll hit harder. I'm still trying to hit the line. I'm going to hit harder and harder and harder and lower and lower. Right, so now I'm about the cut line, and I'll find. Right, so this will give me a really good indication of just how hard on these courts. Now this court's a little bit different. How hard I have to hit that is. These courts are a bit different because they've got a glass front wall. So the ball reacts differently to most other courts, so you just got to get used to that a little bit. So what happens is I'll find my spot where I've got reasonable power and control and a good height, so it's probably just above the cut line. That's too deep. There it is there. That one there. That's the one I want. Now, I should be able to hit that all the time. So now I know my height. Now I know the height that I need to hit a quality depth shot. Quality depth is when the ball bounces once, and then it goes down towards the back wall on the second bounce. That reason is, if it's going down after the second bounce, it's going to continue in a downwards direction. It's going to be really hard for your opponent to get the ball out. If the ball bounces too close to the back wall, it sits up and then comes away from the back wall, and it sits high. And what that does, that one there gives options to do whatever you like. And so it gets really tough. It gets really, really hard to handle. So it's not the easiest thing in the world to handle. So you need to be aware that you need to make sure you get your quality depth out of your shot. Okay, so let's talk about your warm-up when there's 2 people on the court. Now there's all the etiquette of hitting the ball how many times to yourself down the wall. I'd say absolute maximum is 5, but I like to sit on about 3. So 2 shots to myself and then 1 cross court. That's what I feel is quite right. Back in my day when I played, we just hit the ball cross court every single shot. Cross court, cross court, cross court, cross court, cross court. And then people got selfish and just worked on everything for themselves, started driving down the wall, back to themselves over and over and over again. If you're a ref, stop people if they're hitting it any more than 5 times. Just tell them they better change, no more than say 4. Tell them 4, and or you'll start to award conduct points. And that will fix them up really quickly. And you need to be on it so they don't do it. Just get the game in your terms straight away. Right, so if I'm warming up with somebody else, I'm going to drive the ball, but once again I'm going to aim for the ball to be here, and then I'm going to cross court. So if I do 1 down the wall, 1 cross court, I'll start with that, or I might go 2 down the wall to the line and then 1 cross court. But once again, when I cross court, I'm going to aim for the ball to hit roughly around about this back line here. The sideball and the fall's not too bad. And you go from there. So if the ball was to come across here from your opponent, I would go 1, 2, and that one only just got it because it was on the wall. Okay, and that's the same on the other side. So the forehand would go 1 down the wall, 1 cross court, and that's how that would work. So every single time the ball comes from your opponent across here, there, you'll go 1 down the wall, 2 down the wall, 1 cross court, once again to the line. Now, if you repeatedly hit this line and you get used to hitting this line and you don't accept anything else other than hits this line, you get really, really good at hitting this line. Let's talk about what it does. If I hit the line and I come from around about here, which is generally where people will stand, which is not on the tee, it's back here, and I come back, what happens is it's going to get in that awkward stage of having to take a rising ball. So it's not easy to take a rising ball here, it's really quite difficult. So if I can put the ball around about there, what happens, that there is a little bit difficult to get quality out of. So you've got to really, really work hard and get used to it. After that, you can, then what I like to do is I'll play a few from down here, but then I'll move up a little bit and I'll go with a volley and then a volley cross court, so I get used to my volleys. I might put 1 short every now and then, so I get used to that. And if the ball comes too deep off my opponent, I'll come around here and just play the drop shot. So I get used to that because I've got width. So what you try and do is play whatever shot you need to play, or we would play in a match as much as possible. You always play targets. You always play all these shots. You can play 1 or 2 boats as well, just to get into the feel of that. And it'll all come together. But once you get hold of it, it's really, really quite simple. Just go and hit your targets. I can't stress enough. Target, 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 target. Better players hit targets more often. It's that simple. Get into it. Have your 3 hits down the wall. 1 cross court. Cross court hits that line as well. And the benefit of all this is that you get used to hitting the difficult balls back, because you're hitting the ball to a difficult depth, and so therefore you get good at hitting difficult balls. And if you can hit difficult balls back to depth, you're then awesome. So there you go. It's pretty simple with your warm-up, 2.5 minutes or 2 minutes or whatever it is each side, and off you go. You go from there. The last thing I'll say with the warm-up, I'd suggest that you go and have a drink after your warm-up. The reason is, let's say you've just spent 5 minutes on the court, and now you're going to play another game that could go for 15, 20 minutes. All right, so that'd be 25 minutes without a drink. So you should, once you finish your warm-up, duck off quickly, have a quick sip of drink before the first game, then go on, and then you're fresh for that first game. So you haven't done 5 minutes worth of work before you've started playing, and then you're all pretty good. There you go, that's how to warm up, and that's what I believe, backhand first. You by yourself start with volleys, because they're pretty simple, pretty easy, and then get into these, lifting them up, lock it down lower, harder, stronger, and then go from there. Play a couple of big kill drives, play a couple of bows, a couple of volley shorts, move up forward, volley deep, and you've got it all. I think that'll really set you up for a really good way to get into a game with all your body ready to go from your movement dynamic warm-up and your hitting warm-up.